Welcome back. We're talking about the book 10-Day Challenge to Live Your True Life with author and motivational speaker Ashley Burgess. All right, so the book is divided up obviously into 10 days. We're not going to each and every day, but day one you talk about your time and energy and how important they are. How do we know if we're spending our time and energy on the wrong things, and then kind of how do we correct that if we are?
Well, I think one of the biggest indications is how are you feeling about it? Yeah. You know, sometimes we get into situations where we agree to do things that we really don't want to do. And we agree to do it because why? Because we're people pleasing. Yeah. We want everybody to like us. But then we agree to do something and it becomes this like monstrous, huge, project. And we get angry, we get disgruntled, we get resentful. Right. And I think those are very big indications on where you're spending your time at is very important. But also, is it pushing your life forward in a positive way that you want to go in? Is that your trajectory, or is that someone else's idea of where you should be? Sure.
So let's talk a little bit about boundaries. How important are boundaries?
Wow, I know.
That's a big one, right?
I didn't know how important boundaries were until I didn't have any. When I was growing up, I realized that I was raised in a family, which is a wonderful family, but nobody really knew what boundaries were. And so every relationship I went into, I didn't have any boundaries, and I didn't understand why people seemed to be walking all over me. I didn't understand why I was always doing things I didn't want to do. And then I realized boundaries is basically the things that say, hey, I will do this and I won't do this. I will accept this in my life and I won't accept this in my life. And it's not like we go up to somebody and say, hey, this is my boundary. Instead, we actually say, you know, I'm just not going to accept that. You know, when somebody's yelling at me or somebody's sending a text in all capital letters, you know, in an angry way, do you respond to that or do you not? Because to me, my boundary says, that is not even that's not even respondable. You know what I'm saying? So I have no time for that. Right. In the past, though, I would have responded.
So people might be surprised if all of a sudden you kind of start saying no to things that you used to say yes to. So how do we deal with people in our lives that take, and never give back?
Great question. You know, we have to eventually train them how we want to be treated, right?
Okay.
So we have to start slowly. We can't just go crazy, 90 miles an hour with the boundaries. We're going to put the limitations up. But what we do want to do is we want to slowly train people the way we want to be treated. But also there'll be some people that don't want to do that. And so we have to realize that there's some folks that the relationship was for a season and it's time to let that go. And we have to be willing to let them exit and not run back after that relationship because of our fear of losing them or our codependency.
Yeah. So how do we identify what we call energy suckers in life?
I think it's easy because you feel pretty bad around them. You know, they always have a really negative story to tell. There's always something horrible that's happened to them. They never come up with anything positive. And one of the things that I've done to deal with negative energy suckers is, ask them, hey, do you have anything positive that you'd like to talk about?
You're right.
And usually they don't. And so you can actually kind of train them that way, or eventually they realize that they're not going to get the misery loves company situation with you, and they'll find someone else to commiserate with.
Right. Is it possible to change negative people around us, maybe by leading by example, telling them and showing them how you want to live your life?
Perfect. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, we're all
But can
examples.
you really change negative people, or?
We can't ever change anybody.
Right.
We can only change ourselves.
Right.
But what we can do is we can impress on them the fact that we're living a certain way. And you're right. Example, eventually sometimes people do learn by just watching. Very rarely do we really realize how much people are watching us and learning from us. And if you're doing the right thing and you're acting from the highest good, being the right person, being honest and truthful, it really goes a long way, and I think people really begin to understand where you're coming from. They might rub off on them, but I definitely wouldn't expect them to change.
All right, okay. Now in the book you talk about the thinking mind distracting us from the present. So why is it important to be mindful?
Mindfulness is being involved in everything you're doing minute by minute and actually focusing on it. So you and I here, sitting here, you're interviewing me, I'm answering questions. If I wasn't being very mindful, I'd be thinking about what happened yesterday or maybe the drive over here, perhaps. I wouldn't be in part of this moment, enjoying it for what it is. And I think a lot of us are going through our day-to-day situation, basically walking through life. You know how people say same, different day,
Right, yeah.
And the thing is that that's the thinking mind walking through it. I'm bored, I'm over it, I hate this job, I hate this stuff. And it's like, let's get mindful in the fact that we just really focus on what we're doing and let go of the negativity of yesterday or the drama. And it really begins to fortify your life because you're getting more meaning out of it. Even if it's not something you really love to do, you begin to find a deeper meaning in your life.
Okay, so you're kind of living in the present. Do you have like an example of something maybe where you've done that recently, where you consciously had to think, oh, I need to, be in this moment and not think about things that have already happened or things that are coming up?
A good example is a lot of people have a long commute to work, right?
Sure, oh yeah.
And you get in the car and you go on autopilot, and you put the music on and you're just driving out there. What I've realized, actually coming here, okay, easy breezy. I was driving down the road and I was about to get on the phone and just go into autopilot, where you start making calls.
Right.
I said, no, I'm actually going to have a mindful drive on the way to CBS today. And so I literally drove and I was mindful and I was thinking about just driving and getting here. And it was very relaxing and very therapeutic. It wasn't stressful. I wasn't on the phone. I wasn't trying to bypass this moment, because a lot of times, instead of being in the moment, like we go to the gym and work out, gosh, if that 30 minutes will just go by fast enough. But it's like, why don't we actually focus on what we're doing in the gym and actually get some sort of happiness? Because what are we doing? Are we racing to some end game that really doesn't exist?
Yeah, we can always wish our lives away. You know, I wish it was Friday, I wish it was Saturday, or whatever. All right, well, you know, as we live our life, a lot of us have expectations. We all have expectations of how things should turn out. But you say expectations may be a little bit overrated. So let's talk about that. Why is that?
We all expect a lot of times for things to happen a certain way or somebody to respond in a certain way. A good example is planning a vacation. Okay, you plan this vacation with the family, you see the pictures of the resort, and you're so happy about it. And you get there, and it's a letdown.
Yeah.
God, I mean, these pictures must have been taken 12 years ago. You know?
Right.
And so all of a sudden, this amazing trip is downgraded, right? We start feeling like, oh, I don't want to be here, and if I could just... And it's like, if we could just stop those expectations and realize, and again, that's being mindful in the moment, because a lot of times those expectations keep us away from our true happiness, whether that's in a relationship, whether that's dealing with our boss and the expectations of maybe getting a raise or some sort of promotion, or whether it's just going on a trip with the family and the resort seems a lot older, but now we have that stigma of, I'm not happy because it's not the same expectations as I was expecting.
Right. And so how do we get past that?
Oh. Well, the best way to get past that, that's good, that's good. You got me on that one. The best way to be past that is really to understand when we are expecting things to go a certain way and to really stop that negative cycle and negative flow. Because what I found is that when I expect something to be a certain way, it doesn't happen that way.
Right,
I would rather be more, I don't know.
Just open-minded.
Yeah, I'd actually like to kind of be surprised sometimes, to be quite honest with you. It's like when somebody decides they don't want to know the sex of the child, right? And then they get surprised. I think sometimes in life, being surprised can be very interesting because you're not expecting something to be a certain way, and you're also not deciding your happiness based on that expectation.
And I know that some people, maybe they have a family dinner, something that they're not looking forward to. It may turn out to be great. Sometimes you're expecting something to be great. It doesn't turn out to be great. So it works both ways.
Exactly.
Yeah, so just kind of take it for what it is. All right, very good stuff. All right, time for another quick break. Coming up, we're going to talk about the importance of self-love and how to hush that inner critic. Stay with us.